One in attendance to rise and join us in singing O Canada. Thank you to the National Film Board for the images of our country and to our very own Grand Prairie Boys Choir for the audio. We'll move on to the minutes of the Council Organizational Meeting. Can I have a motion to adopt that set of minutes? Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, McGovern. I move the minutes of the Council Organizational Meeting held Monday, October 17th, 2016 be approved.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Are there any errors or omissions in that set of minutes that we need to catch before we adopt them? I don't see anybody ringing in. So I will call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Can I have a motion for the adoption of our previous City Council meeting minutes? Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you. I would move that Council approve the minutes for the Council meeting held on Monday, October 17th, 2016.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any errors or omissions in that set of minutes that we need to correct? Again, seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And that brings us to the adoption of the agenda. Council, can I get a motion for the adoption of the agenda with the addition of item 9.1, appointments to Council Remuneration Review Committee? Councillor Thiessen, I think you're in the queue.
Thank you. I would move that Council adopt the agenda as amended and presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries, and this brings us to the delegation portion of our agenda. This is an opportunity for anyone in the community who wishes to address council to come forward. You don't have to let us know ahead of time that you wanted to come and speak. We're always open to anybody that wishes to come and address council, but there was one group that did let us know ahead of time, and that's the Peace Airshed Zone, or PAZA, wanted to make a presentation to council. So I can see a number of PAZA reps in our front row, and whoever was going to be speaking, if you'd like to come down to the presenters table and introduce yourself for a recording secretary and the people that might be watching, welcome. And if you can just make sure that one of those two microphones is somewhere close, sort of to your face there.
Very good. Right. Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to come to speak with you this evening. My name is Elizabeth Bell. I'm the Executive Director at PAZA. And in the past, we have come to you with information on who we are and what we do. So as the Peace Airshed Zone Association, we monitor air quality in the Peace region here. And our purpose for addressing you here today is to talk more about why we do what we do, why was the organization formed in the first place, why stakeholders get involved, and why do they continue to be involved. The simple answer is that we all affect air quality. We have a number of interesting natural phenomenon like forest fires and dust storms and essentially any kind of a storm. We also have a bunch of human-based activity that have both positive and negative effects on air quality. And this council has spent time in the past debating who should be responsible. And again, the simple answer is that we all should be responsible. We're here today representing PAZA to talk about why PAZA membership is so important to us and to our stakeholders. As the largest urban center in our region, we also believe that there's value in the city of Grand Prairie becoming and maintaining membership in our organization. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge all of the members in the gallery that are here tonight. So it wasn't just the front row, we have a number of other members here joining us as well, just to show the amount of support that we have in our region. And we also have a couple of members that are here to speak specifically about the value that they find representing their particular sector. So at first, I would like to introduce Bob Cameron. He is here as a public member, and he has been with PAZA since PAZA was formed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to give you a brief history of why PAZA formed. PAZA formed because of air emissions from the local industry, from the oil and gas and pulp and paper sector that everyone in the region was able to detect in the air with their own noses. So about 15 years ago, PAZA began with a small number of dedicated people, people from the Alberta Energy Regulator, people from Alberta Health, Mr. Jim Beeger, who's now moved away to Panama, and others gathered. Mr. Henry Perker, the late Henry Perker, was also a founding member of PAZA. So half a dozen to 8 people came together for a number of years. Now PAZA has a full boardroom of 20 to 22 people when we meet, and we have dedicated participants from the rural municipalities about the region and the small towns. Sexsmith, Valley View have routinely participated, but the city has had a spotty participation in our meetings, and I believe it's important that the city join as the largest population center with everyone else in the region to deal with air quality. This summer during the fires at Fort McMurray, every day, hour by hour, you heard about air quality health index. Those numbers were generated by an airshed called Wood Buffalo Environmental Association. And PAZA, during forest fire events, gathers hourly data to provide air quality health index for the citizens of Grand Prairie and others who might be traveling here. So that's essentially what we're doing, asking you to join with the rest of us in supporting that kind of an activity. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Latrace. I'm an environmental leader for Weyerhaeuser's Grand Prairie Pulp Mill. I'm also currently sitting as co-chair of PAZA Board of Directors. So when I think about PAZA, I think about a multi-stakeholder organization, They're considered to be effective. They build trust, confidence, and they enhance coordination of efforts. They bring each partner's core competencies to the table. They build synergies to create something impactful for sustainable development. Successful partnerships place emphasis on impact, transparent, coherent, and capacity building. Partnerships are not meant to substitute for government or industry responsibilities and commitments, but are instrumental in the implementation of outcomes and development goals. PAZA continues to address the issue of enhancing partnerships with all relevant partners within our area as a formal agenda on our item on our agenda. Information about commitments are fully transparent and accessible to the public. These are important to Weyerhaeuser and all partners in our airshed. Partners also provide oversight to avoid any shortfall of delivering of results or incurring high transaction costs. Some of the key criteria for the success of our program are voluntary and inclusive based shared responsibilities. They complement rather than substitute sustainable development strategies and meet agreed upon outcomes. They're a consistent range of multi-level stakeholders with clear objectives. They're transparent, they're accountable, specific targets and timeframes for producing tangible results. They're partnerships with adequate funding, and there's a follow-up process. All stakeholders, including governments, civil society, private, public sectors, industry, are all invited to make voluntary commitments, deliver concrete results for sustainable development within our area. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for listening to us this evening. I'm Brian Levers, Senior Community Relations Advisor for Encana in Northern Alberta. In this area, we have over 100 employees working in field locations as well as gas processing plants. Many of those employees have their families living right here in the city of Grand Prairie. We're a mandated partner, meaning it's part of our license that we be part of an air monitoring program. We could go and do a standalone program, but with what PASA presents, we're very proud to partner with PASA. We have our own processing plant, but we also do a lot of processing with Verison that is also a mandated partner and proud to be part of this program in the PASA. The oil and gas industry is one of the largest supporters of PASA. Some of our member companies are mandated like us, but many are voluntary, meaning that they're part of the program because they want to see the positive effects that PASA has for the community and to be part of that. Our main office in Northern Alberta is located right here in Grand Prairie. We think these are all important factors, and we have been a member since the beginning of the PASA and are proud of that. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Ethan Jarvis. I've recently joined the PASA Board of Directors in representing the Métis Nations of Alberta. And we got involved because when we looked at the responsibilities that we have, air and water are the two essentials for life. We're all responsible for making sure that we have clean air and our children have clean air and so on. So when I looked at the numbers, I'm a number cruncher, so you might want to ask some numbers later. But each person in Canada is responsible for about 20.6 tons of emissions. And so when we spread that out across Alberta for our 4.2 million residents across 640,000 square kilometers, works out to about 3.1 tons per square kilometer of emissions. Now, when we compact that into a urban area for convenience and all of the benefits that come with living together, it does concentrate the effect of those emissions. So when you look at 65,000 people producing 20.6 tons each, now the urban center has a significant impact and responsibility on affecting change. And so within PASA, we have the ability to monitor the sources and the overall levels of pollutants, but it's really the community effort to put the funds together to understand what we have for emissions and find some financial incentives to reduce those. And so it benefits us all, not just in having the PASA board, but in having that incentive to find ways to improve ourselves as a community, as individuals. So I'm proud to be a member of the PASA board, and we look forward to working with the city in many ways to benefit the community.
Hi, I'm Sharon Nelson, and I'm a public member of PASA and have been for many years. I recognize some of the faces around the table. I'm not sure why in the past the City Council has voted to abstain from the membership of PAZA. As you know, this is the entity that monitors, evaluates, and reports on our local air quality. So that's a benefit to all of us sitting here, right? It's local, and I, for one, don't want to see the monitoring and the evaluating of it being done by somebody in Calgary or somebody in Ottawa or somebody. I feel very confident that it's done here by PAZA, and they're third party, right? They've got memberships from all sectors in the public and health and industry. And I don't know if AG's come to the table yet, but hopefully they will. As elected leaders of Grand Prairie, I believe each and every one of you are here out of concern for the residents of Grand Prairie. With the city absent from PAZA's table, there's a whole lot of people, I don't know the population of Grand Prairie, that isn't being represented as well as it could be with air quality, with the local air quality. I think it'd be a win-win. We could grow and perhaps get better monitoring. There's all kinds of different things, relocating of perhaps some stations that aren't maybe where they should be. That is what I see. I see it could be a really good, a good union. Thank you.
All right. I also want to bring regrets from Greg Smith. He is our regulatory manager at Secure Energy Services. Greg Smith was formerly with the Alberta government, with the Department of Environment, and he asked me to share some information with you. While he was with the regulator, he sat on the board as a director because the regulators felt a very strong connection and relevance to this multi-stakeholder, independent third-party organization that does monitoring and does reporting for air quality for the region. When he retired from government, he moved over to private industry, and as an industry member, he convinced his organization, the entire organization across the province, to become members of the airsheds because he sees the value in getting that third-party data. The data across the province from airsheds has never been challenged. The information is credible and it's solid and it is trustworthy. And there's great value for industry and for public, for Alberta Health Services and for the Department of Environment to have confidence in that kind of information. So the value of PAZA is that the data is unchallenged. Our funding formula was also driven primarily through the regulator and through Greg's vision for sustainable funding. So we are not looking for the city to provide sustainable funding. What we're looking for is how do we get the information out to consumers? How do we get it out to our citizens and constituents so that they can make informed choices? And how can you make informed choices if you don't have credible data? So he wanted me to share that with you. I want to just briefly go over some of the value that PAZA will provide or does provide to its members. Just to summarize briefly, we have ongoing engagement with all of our stakeholders and all the sectors. So Alberta Health Services, like I mentioned earlier, Alberta Environment, our public, our municipalities, non-government environmental associations who are concerned, as well as now the Métis Society. We're very happy to have them on board as well. There's environmental consultation, issue resolution that involves everyone. So it's not the loudest voice or the people that have the most money that get to say how things happen. It's consensus-based organization, and so that means every voice counts. And so we are always looking for win-win situations. We can leverage the knowledge that we have within our entire organization to address questions where resources might be limited. So if your organization, for example, doesn't have the scientific expertise to analyze, to monitor, to report data, you can leverage that expertise with PAZA. We leverage our influence on setting policy and regulatory decision making. And we have, because we're a place-based organization, we provide local solutions to local issues. It is also a great resource for community and infrastructure planning. Education is consistent because we can provide that to all of our members, and so we have consistent information across the province with all the airships, as well as across our whole region through municipalities and industry stakeholders. And it provides critical connections to land use planning on cumulative effects issues and air quality issues. One of the things that will be required with the land use framework is that air quality is a huge component of that particular report. PASA can provide that expertise to our members. So for those communities that are not our members, there will be, a gap in your knowledge and expertise in being able to provide that. Now, the City of Grand Prairie has joined the Partners for Climate Change program, and you have committed to reporting on 3 parameters. So you're talking about greenhouse gas emissions, so carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane. And I was unable to find where or how those numbers are being reported. This has been in place, I believe, since 2009. And your commitment to measure and report on those can be effectively and economically measured and reported using or leveraging the economies of scale that are available as members of PASA. Simply put, it will cost the city less to become a member of PASA than it would to be purchasing technical equipment, analyzers, monitoring, reporting on even one of those parameters as outlined in your agreement. PASA also believes that your commitment to environmental stewardship policy allows you to execute your environmental responsibility and leading by example by becoming members of PASA as we work together to mitigate and manage air quality issues for the city in this region. Okay, so we are asking Council for a vote here today to commit to becoming a full contributing member of PASA to share in the environmental responsibility of managing air quality in our community. Are there any questions?
Certainly, I see that you're joined by somebody else.
Yes. Thanks, Mayor Given. Bob Marshall, Chair of PASA. I'm here to help answer any questions that Council may have.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Mr. Marshall. Any questions for the delegation? Any questions for a delegation? Councillor Rice?
So what is the membership you're looking at?
The membership for the City of Grand Prairie is based on a population count, and it's a per capita membership, so total would be $21,000 per year.
Okay, now it seems to me that in the past you waived that and just came up with a lump number.
That is not correct. We've always requested the.
I know what you requested. I'm telling you what you got.
Yeah, no, we haven't received. We have not ever received a contribution from the City of Grand Prairie. So officially, the City of Grand Prairie has never been a member of PASA, a funding member of PASA.
I think there was a point in time where PASA graciously allowed the city to have a representative on the board.
A representative on the board. And the motion right now before the board is that if the city, we wanted to create a relationship. We wanted to create a partnership to create some awareness and show what we're doing. And so we are currently at a situation now where there's question about whether or not it is valid for the city to be making decisions on behalf of PASA while refusing to become a member of PASA.
Yep. Thanks very much for the clarification. Any other questions for the delegation? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I spoke for PASA quite a few times in the past, and it was the last time I didn't, and it was the per capita. You can make that work whichever way, per capita or depending on how money goes in our surrounding area. I was very proud of PASA with the industry part, but the per capita seemed to be the stickler.
Okay.
Because, if we can say about resources around our area, it'd be nice if it was per capita, but that's not the case. So that's been the stickler point, I think, before. So and that's what changed with the per capita, because a lot of the revenue and everything it comes to the city for employment, but a lot of revenue in a couple different areas is spread out to a very smaller population. So when you say per capita, that's starting to get out there. And I'm not against PAZA. I fought for PAZA quite a bit, but the per capita seemed to be the hinge.
Okay, I can't speak to the city and how it allocates its budget, but I can speak to PAZA's funding formula. And the way that our funding formula operates is we look at our sustainable funding comes from regulatory approvals. So industries that are required to conduct air quality monitoring, they provide the sustainable funding. And then we have a significant component of voluntary funders as well. So this year we have about 56 industry members that are voluntarily contributing to PAZA, and then a number of municipalities as well as some public members. So when we're talking about per capita, we're looking at what kind of emissions, are generated, by human activity. So population-driven types of emissions. And as the largest urban center in the region, there's a significant sort of related emission bubble that exists around the city of Grand Prairie. So where that's coming from, I can't really speak to that, but what we're saying is the city is sort of generating that. And so we look at across the region. So if we're going to, have a population or a per capita funding, then it's going to apply uniformly across the entire region. So the town of Sexsmith, for example, they will have traffic coming in and out and coming through, but they still pay per capita, just like the city of Grand Prairie would, just like the county of Grand Prairie would, just like the town of Beaver Lodge or the town of Valley View or any municipality in our region. So the per capita is really just a uniform cycle that we use for funding.
If I can just add one other thing, Mayor Given. Voluntary contribution from our municipalities and our
Small.
members at large is only 2% of our budget. So it's really a small portion. The vast majority is paid for by our mandated members. So,
Mayor, Given, to finish up my question. So
Councillor.
thank you, Bob. So the two, and I get that about industry. I totally get that. I know that. I sat on there. So what would the county give per population for a percentage for this, and what MD Greenview? Does MD Greenview give as well? Because there's a percentage.
do.
So what do they give per population when most industries in there, what do they give? That's what I want to know.
Everyone per capita is 30 cents per
Okay.
head, basically.
And so MD Greenview, half New Brunswick, 4,500 people, and county 23,000. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
See, Councillor Rice is back in the queue. Councillor Rice.
I'm thinking that my question was pretty much covered by Councillor McLean. So your average membership would be like $1,500 a year, except for Grand Prairie, it would be $21,000, correct?
For municipalities.
Municipalities only, voluntary industry, regulatory or regulatory approved industry, they would all pay on a different scale. This is strictly municipal funding.
And just the question that I had, Ms. Bell, was, so you were asking for council tonight to discuss this. Are you looking for a contribution in 2016? Or are you looking for 2017?
We would accept 2017.
Okay, I don't see anybody else in the queue. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Thanks for being here tonight, everyone. In force, I didn't think you'd managed to pull so many people together on Halloween. That's impressive. So 30 cents a person, $21,000 is the ask to the city of Grand Prairie. Just a couple questions. If council decided to continue to not be a funding member of PAZA, what would the costs for the services that Positive provides be to the city of Grand Prairie otherwise? And now I know we could buy all the equipment, and then we're talking about tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But as far as information sharing, and is there a cost that Positive attaches to that for the city or for any interested members?
Data is free. What we're suggesting is that we'll be able to leverage the expertise, and we leverage the connections to community or to industry. For example, if you're issuing a development permit or if you are doing land use planning, then you can leverage connections to that expertise. So we know Pembina, for example, has just started development of a huge facility. So we could talk about, what are some of the air quality concerns that might be connected to creating, such a large facility, with respect to increased traffic flow, things like that. We're also concerned about the cumulative effects land use framework plan, which is going to be a significant project. And so, for example, we did a network assessment of our entire network that cost us over $100,000. So when you start to get into the cost of that kind of expertise, if you're not part of an organization where you can leverage those connections, then out of pocket is a fairly substantial sum.
All right, thank you very much.
Even, if I may add, even education components of this. I know the city has its own environmental department and stuff, but I think there's synergies that our two organizations can work for. We have education, the CARS program that the airsheds have helped develop and stuff and are rolling out to classrooms and stuff. So that's available to our members, and of course. So, I mean, if you're a member, then we can help roll that out to the city schools as well as to the rural schools and all the other municipalities.
So just a question on that. Would those programs not roll out to city students unless the city was a member in the organization?
Typically, so far, Calgary CRAS, which is their airshed, has implemented the program down there. So basically, it's been within the airsheds. The airsheds are driving this program. So they're rolling it out to their members because there is a cost to develop it and stuff. So basically the first priority is to our own members and stuff. There may be a cost associated. We haven't looked at that side of it. We've only been rolling it out.
There is a cost associated with it. And so schools that are located within membership communities would receive priority for those types of programs.
Thanks. Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Marion. Thank you all for coming. And has there ever been talk, are you stuck on the per capita, or are you going to be looking as well maybe down the road for demographic, for area size that you patrol and monitor? Would you be looking at as well? I know I've been hearing about 26 CO2 per person, but the industry does a lot different out in the bush and different areas. So you ever looked at municipalities for demographic?
We would certainly be willing to bring forward any concerns to our funding committee. If a member brought forward a concern, then we would certainly have a look at that and crunch the numbers and see what makes sense. Because as we know, as the economy expands and contracts, we see development rising and falling. And so there are corresponding changes that need to come with that. And so we're not stuck on a static grid and say this shall be it forever. We would certainly look at considerations if there were things that needed to be influenced or were influencing our perspective. We need to be able to accommodate that or adjust.
So you can't add from sitting back there in the crowd. If somebody wants to give up their seat, you can. We just want to make sure that the presenter's table is where we get the presentations from, because that's only fair to anybody that might be watching or listening.
Apologize for that.
Sure.
So I just want to address Councillor McLean's point about a per capita and where that perspective comes from. So when we talk about air pollution, we can basically talk about four sources. So there's mobile sources, There's stationary sources, so mobile sources, cars, trucks, trains, planes. Stationary sources, power plants, gas plants, pulp mills. Natural area sources, things such as agricultural areas, cities, wood burning stoves. Natural sources, wind-blown dust, volcanoes, wildfires, etc. Mobile sources account for more than half of air pollution in a primary area. And that pollution comes from automobiles, basically. Area sources, they're made up of lots of small pollution, but come together, they can have a very large impact. Stationary sources also emit large amounts of pollution. But mobile sources account for more than half of the air pollution in an area. So natural sources sometimes can be significant, but they generally don't create ongoing air pollution sources. So that's kind of why we look at per capita. It's the system itself, the air system, and how that natural and human generated emissions, how they're transported, the haze, the biological effects, and the deposition that they cause in the area. They can be transported long or short areas.
Thank you. Thanks for the additional detail. So I have one question, Ms. Bell. Can you identify for me what the consequence is of the City of Grand Prairie not being a partner? I mean, I guess we sort of ask it, and I appreciate that there's a significant amount of effort made to provide what the benefits are to the City of Grand Prairie. Can you identify for us sort of the other side of the equation of what the consequences are if the City of Grand Prairie chooses not to take up full membership?
We have no direct consequence except to say, you know, the city is not a member, the city will not sit on the board of directors, and the city is not participating in sort of the managing or the mitigating of air quality issues. And so for us, we see the value in partnering with you because you are a big player in our region. And we feel that there's a lot of value for you to also participate. So there's no punitive consequence, and the, I guess, the perception consequence. And
sure.
Potentially in the future, when, you know, the climate leadership plan starts to become an imperative, and as the cumulative effects management plans are put into play, then the consequence there would be that you would probably end up having to pay for costs related to air quality reporting and data.
And I would like to add that I personally am concerned about the air quality. The air quality in Alberta has been identified between Red Deer and Calgary as some of the worst air quality on earth. And I believe if the city and the council aren't part of the discussion for visionary purposes and for looking for better air quality here and how we can work towards that, if we leave it up to the provinces or the federal government, I don't believe that we would reap the benefits for your children, Mr. Given, and the next generations that are coming up. I'm concerned about where our air quality is headed. And there's lots of other stuff in our air that we're not aware of yet. So I really think it's something that should be looked at, an environmental concern that I'm concerned about as a public member.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. Is there anything else, Ms. Bell or Ms. Marshall, that you wanted to cover before we close your presentation?
No. So we're looking for a decision. We're looking for a response from the city. And so I don't know how you're planning to proceed. So can you advise?
Sure, absolutely. So typically our delegation business, unfortunately on our agenda, typically comes at the end of our agenda. That's number 12, way down the list. And I can tell you that the most likely course of action would be a referral to the appropriate standing committee, and then likely a review of the budget. We are going to be reviewing our budget in the next 2 weeks. I think the 18th is when we're scheduled, and so that's the most likely time, considering this is an unbudgeted for expense in 2016.
Certainly. Okay.
Would we be able to participate in the committee level, or at least be there if there's any questions that are asked so that we can provide.
Yeah, absolutely. That would,
perspective,
yeah.
and even at budget and stuff, be notified of.
All of our committee meetings are public, and administration can certainly notify you of what committee it was going to be on if it was to be referred tonight.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I'm speaking of cumulative effects. I'm giving each one of you speakers that was here for PASA each had about 5 minutes. So I think we're still on time if we add you all together. But this is still the delegation portion of our agenda. And I want to make clear, if there's anybody else that wished to address council on any community-related matter, whether you let us know ahead of time or not, this would be the time that you do that. And so is there anybody else that wished to come forward? I don't see anybody rushing to the podium, and so I'll close the delegation portion of our agenda, and we'll move on. We have a piece of official business. I have a proclamation that I was requested to make, and I'm not sure if there's anybody here to receive this official proclamation. Thank you. Okay. If you wouldn't mind coming in and joining the presenters table, just so that I have somebody that I can be reading this to other than just the internet that we're recorded and broadcast on. So this is a proclamation in recognition of Family Violence Prevention Month. Ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, so I'm Ebony Rempel. I am the Executive Director at Odyssey House, so that's the women's shelter here in Grand Prairie.
And Carrie Garrity, Crime Prevention Manager for the city.
Okay, well, certainly I appreciate the work that you've done in organizing this opportunity tonight to recognize the City of Grand Prairie's support for recognizing the seriousness of family violence in our community. So I'll make this official proclamation. Whereas there are many people in Alberta who have lived or are living in abusive family environments, and whereas the cycle of violence may be carried on from generation to generation, and whereas individuals and communities have the power to break the cycle of violence, now, therefore, I, Mayor Bill Given, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2016 to be Family Violence Prevention Month in the City of Grand Prairie. We call upon citizens to recognize family violence for the serious social and criminal problem that it is. We call upon you to make a difference by taking the time to get involved. And we call upon and encourage all Albertans to help make our province violence-free in 2016 and beyond. Ladies, thanks very much for organizing this opportunity to make that important proclamation here at Council tonight. Thank you so much. And so we will move on in our agenda. We have no public hearings this evening. We had no items of unfinished business. So that'll take us to item 9.1, our added agenda item with respect to the Council Remuneration Review Committee. And Councillor O'Toole, I think you're going to make that motion for us.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I move the Council appoint Mr. Lynn Coulter, Ms. Linda Murphy, and Mr. Dan Wong to the Council Remuneration Review Committee for the terms ending December 31st, 2017, or upon the approval by Council, the rate of remuneration for the 2018 through 2021 Council term.
Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Just for anyone watching, so this is the appointment of public members to a committee that will review council and mayor compensation and salary. They will make a recommendation to this council for what the remuneration should be for the council following the next municipal election. And so just set that context for anybody out there that may be wondering. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I look forward to this. I've been through one of the processes before. My first term, this is my second term, and I hope that the individuals take it very seriously, which they will. I believe the last time we had someone on it and then ran for election as well. So, I mean, that's all part of protocol, but I hope they really look at it very seriously.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. And just speaking of the next municipal election, at the committee level, we certainly discussed the timeliness of the report back. The goal is to have the committee report back by early in the new year, hopefully by April, so that anybody that might be considering running in the 2017 municipal election would know what the rate of pay would be. And so that's the intent of having this committee start its work early. Any other discussion or debate on the recommendations for appointments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries and takes us into committee business. We've got a bunch of council committee of the whole meetings first and some minutes that we've got to get out of the way. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the council committee of the whole meeting held Thursday, October 13th, 2016 as presented. Just for the audience, this was a discussion about community group funding that will be referred to our budget deliberations on the 18th.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Did any council members note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes that we have to change? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn, you want to take the next one?
Mayor Given, I would move council receive the minutes of the council committee of the whole meeting held Thursday, October 20th, 2016 as presented. This meeting was all about what South Bear Creek capital priorities may be sent on to our budget deliberations.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Again, any errors or omissions, Council? Seeing nobody ringing in, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. And that'll take us to 10.3, the Community Growth Committee meeting. And I think Councillor Clayton, was that your set of minutes?
Yes, it was. Thank you, Mayor Given. I'd move that council receive the minutes of the Community Growth Committee meeting held Tuesday, October 18th as presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing nothing, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Clayton, anything you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
No, it was a pretty straightforward meeting with a few development permits and a report regarding provincial funding for festivals and events. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. We'll move on to 10.4, the Community Living Committee. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'd like to move the Community Living Committee meeting minutes held on Tuesday, October 18th.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That motion carries. Councillor Tarrant, anything you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Just one item. We had one delegation there, Francois Fournier from GPRC, who talked about the program for developing coaching, and that will be talked about at council, or talked about at budget time. It was good to get that additional information to help council make its decision on that.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. We'll move on to 10.5, Community Safety Committee meeting, and we actually have some motions coming into this one, Councillor Thiessen.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. But before we get to those motions, I would move that, well, I guess I'm making a motion now. I would move that council receive the minutes of the Community Safety Committee meeting held Tuesday, October 25th, as presented.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any errors or omissions, Council? Seeing nothing, I will call for the vote. That motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
All right, we're talking a time extension request on the registration of subdivision Z112-001, and to that motion, I would move that council approve the request to extend the period for subdivision registration to October 7th, 2018 for subdivision Z12-0001. Speaking to this is the hospital area, and it was actually a courtesy by the province for us to extend the time limit on the subdivisions in that area. They didn't have to come to us, but they were kind enough to ask us our blessing for them to extend the subdivision of that area.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Moving on, I would move that council give first reading to bylaw C-1166G, being an amendment to the traffic bylaw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. We'll call for the vote on first reading. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
All right, I would move that council give second reading to bylaw C-1166G. And speaking to this motion, this is just in regards to updating our traffic bylaws in the rural residential, or the rural area, the annex area, and just incorporating those boundaries into our new traffic bylaw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. And the one significant change that comes from that as a result of that also is the elimination of a temporary truck route that had gone down Resources Road to 108th Street as well.
Yes, thank you very much for that catch. I probably should have mentioned that as well.
That certainly was a topic of discussion at committee, so want to make sure that got here as well. Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Any other discussion or debate? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just a quick question. I wasn't at the community safety meeting. That doesn't pertain to quads or skidoos or anything like that. There's a exception for the rural area on that one. We do have a bylaw that has nothing to do with this, right? Okay.
That's correct. This bylaw has nothing to do with off-road vehicles.
Good.
Councillor Rice.
So it eliminated a truck route. Eliminated it or moved it to somewhere else?
I can answer that one very easily. It was the temporary truck route that we had while we were building 92nd and twinning the road there, the one that came up 98th and then cut into the center and then moved up. We're eliminating that portion of it, and we're just registering the old truck route with the new roads.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That motion carries.
We'll keep moving. Yeah, I would move that council have third reading of bylaw C-1166G at this meeting.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. To make any bylaw amendment, you have to have 3 readings. In order to have all 3 readings at the same council meeting, we have to have a motion to give approval to have that third and final reading here tonight. For this motion to pass, or for us to continue on, it would need to be unanimous. Is there any discussion or debate as to the merits of having third reading tonight? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries unanimously, so we can indeed have third reading. Councillor Thiessen.
All right, then I would move that council give third reading to bylaw C-1166G, the amendment to the traffic bylaw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any final discussion or debate on third and final reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Thiessen, any other piece of business you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Sure, I'd love to highlight a couple things off of that. We did our last round of the Safe Growth Matching Grant. We had 3 recipients awarded funding up to $6,600 for anything from lights to cameras and action. That was going in and around the downtown core. So we're happy to do that. I think we also moved for the budget deliberation to include $25,000. So we'll have that discussion come budget time. Speaking of budget, we had other items, 2017 mini budget, I guess deliberations. There's a list of stuff that apparently is no cost to us, and it's all built in. So we'll have those discussions at budget time as well. We also got a verbal update on our capital roadway projects that are going on, everything from sidewalks to pathways to roads. 68th Avenue opened, that was awesome. And also an update on intermunicipal road projects that we're going to need to start looking into considering here as well.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. That'll take us to 10.6, the Corporate Services Committee meeting. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council receive the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee meeting held Tuesday, October 25th, 2016 as presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move that council authorize the execution of the pricing schedule to participate in the AMSC Energy Program for procurement of electricity and natural gas for the period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. Our present agreement goes till 2020. This is, we have an opportunity to extend that contract one more year. Committee is recommending that we make that extension. Information relevant to that at the committee meeting was that there was one of the 2 utilities, there was a slight increase in the pricing, but in the other there was a significant decrease in the pricing. And so committee supported this extension.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Open for discussion debate. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. At first I was against this, and but I realize there's a lot of variables here, closing the coal plants and, you know, renewable energy. But we also know in Ontario their energy prices are going through the roof, and people are having a hard time paying their bills. But this might give us a buffer between what government we might have after 2020. So I am in favor of it. I think it's a good idea to give us a buffer depending who's in provincial power. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. Also at the committee meeting, there was a request for additional information from administration. We asked for administration to do a review of the city's participation in the aggregation program and compare the price received or the value of participating in the program compared with what the prices or value would have been on the open market. And so that'll come back to committee at a future date. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, McGivern. I would move the council award the City of Grand Prairie's Audit Services RFP 24-211-16 to Fletcher Mudick LLP, Chartered Professional Accountants, as the highest evaluated proponent. This is a 5-year contract, and they were previous service providers to the city. We had a different service provider in the last 5 years, but they were the highest evaluated proponent this time around.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Open for discussion and debate. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I probably asked this one 5 years ago, but I'm going to re-ask it now. What's the protocol with 5 years, Ken? Is that just standard, or why not a 3-year? What is it for 5 years?
Mr. Anderson?
Mayor Given, it could be 3 years, could be 5 years, but there are inefficiencies doing it the first year. So the idea is to allow them a lengthy period of time to overcome the first year and the inefficiencies that are present. But it could have been for 3. We've asked for 5 traditionally.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Anderson. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council award RFP 20-211-16 to CIBC Wood Gundy Poland Advisory Group for a 5-year term ending September 30th, 2021 as the highest evaluated proponent meeting city specifications. As council will recall, this item last or 2 council meetings ago was referred back to committee for further review. The committee did review the methodology utilized by admin in evaluating the services and charges and fees criteria and found the process reasonable and fair to all proponents. Therefore, the committee is recommending the initial motion that I've just read. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Open for discussion debate. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Once again, I'll ask a question to Ken. This will be effective immediately if it was passed tonight or from October 1st, because it seems to be a little bit of a lapse here. We're ended to where we're starting.
Mr. Anderson?
Well, Mayor Given, there will be a transition period as we move the investments to the new provider, but that would start immediately as they become due.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Anderson. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I was not at committee, but I was wondering if someone from committee would be able to explain some of the discussion around, I know there was other proponents of the, or other people that had put in a bid that had some concerns with regarding the RFP. I don't know if there was a specific nature that needs to be noted, should be put in camera for, or if someone could be able to give sort of a verbal update now onto whether the different transaction-based accounting was a factor in the RFP.
Councillor Radburn, do you want to give a shot to that? Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe we can get Mr. Anderson to do that.
Sure. I'll just say in terms of the nature of the discussion at the committee, administration presented the committee with 2 hypothetical scenarios demonstrating the 2 potential ways of calculating fees on a portfolio. And at the committee, I was satisfied that there was a clear distinction between the 2, and that the way that they were accounted for in the RFP was, as Councillor Radburn said, reasonable and fair. The illustration was easier for me as a decision maker who isn't sort of fully versed in those sort of financial transactions, but administration did develop a hypothetical situation to present how that value would look on a portfolio. So I don't know if, Mr. Anderson, if there's anything additional that you'd like to say about the type of information that administration presented.
Well, Mayor Gibbon, we did present the two scenarios, transactional-based and portfolio-based, and when the evaluations were done, the information was evaluated in the same manner for all proponents. So administration believes that it was a fair process. There were no variations in how we assessed the proponents. They were put on the same methodology.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn, anything else you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. We had a delegation of the 5 Bearland condominiums in our fair city, and they were suggesting or asking or requesting that we create a new residential subclass for millwrights based upon the services they get relative to other residential citizens. So that was sent to admin to report back on some of the implications of that and what kind of a revenue effect that might have. They also asked for have access to the city's snow dump, and that was sent to admin to have discussions with the group. And also they asked if the city would share some, best practice in terms of standards for ice control. And committee recommended or directed admin to work with that group on that topic as well. So that was the delegation. So there'll be something coming back on that on the first part of it, and the other two admin will be working with the group. We also had some taxation comparisons in city borrowing over the last 5 years as a report to receive for information. Thank you, Mayor Gibbon.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. I think that handles all of our committee business. We had no items of correspondence, but we did, of course, have some delegation business with respect to PAZA. Would look for a motion with respect to that delegation business. Councillor Thiessen, I see in the queue.
Thank you very much, Mayor Gibbon. I would like to move that Council take PAZA's funding request and move it to the 2017 fall budget deliberation. Speaking to this, it's a matter of time and money. We've had many presentations at the committee level and here at Council on PAZA's behalf, and I think this is a discussion that I don't know if we need any extra information coming forward, and if we just bring it right to the budget deliberations, then we can discuss the merits and go from there.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. So a motion to refer the request from PAZA for funding member status for the City of Grand Prairie to the 2017 budget review, which, as we said, is happening in a couple of weeks. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Councillor Radburn.
Mayor Gibbon, I will be supporting the motion for the reason that Councillor McLean suggested, or Councillor Thiessen suggested, but also that is the forum where we can look at the big picture in terms of the revenues versus the asks we have. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Any other discussion or debate? Okay, seeing none and nobody in the queue, then I will call for the vote. Okay, thank you. That motion carries, and so the issue will next be discussed at the city's budget discussion on November 18th, and so it would form one of those items. Okay, thanks very much. I think that handles all of our delegation business. We had no notices of motion this evening, and so that'll take us to councilmember reports from our external agencies, boards, and commissions. The first we had was Disabled Transportation Society. Councillor Radburn.
Just quickly, October 18th board meeting, we talked about financial updates and challenges, recruitment of new board members, timing of new buses, and management structure. Thank you, Mayor Gibbon.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Downtown BRZ, Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. A few items to report from activities that have been happening downtown. Last Saturday, the Halloween walking parade was held, and a special thanks to Councillor Thiessen, who acted as the MC. There was over 250 kids in attendance, so a great turnout, and from what I hear on all accounts, Councillor Thiessen did a great job, and I'm sure he was more than participatory in the actions with the kids. Next, Vegas, a reminder, Vegas Night's coming up November 18th. It's always a great night downtown, great time to start your shopping for the holiday season, followed up by the Santa Parade, which takes place on December 4th. And a reminder that it runs the opposite direction as the Canada Day Parade. And it's always lots of activities, lots of people out, and a really enjoyable event, a nice kickoff to December. And then also have a look out for the Merry Christmas, Mary as in Mary, and Elf on My Shelf, two promotional activities that take place downtown during the holiday season.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Councillor, who was going to do Airport Commission? Councillor Rice? Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Just get your microphone there.
Just kind of a forewarning to people, if you're planning on traveling, check the airline schedules. We believe that Air Canada will be changing their schedules effective tomorrow. So you'll want to take a look at those before you make your travel plans. So we have nothing confirmed at this point, but believe those changes will be coming in the next few days.
Thanks for the heads up, Councillor Rice. Everybody check your boarding pass. Councillor O'Toole, I think you had Tourism Association?
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. We just had our tourism meeting here the other day, and topic of discussion was the replacement of our executive director, and that process is well underway, and we should have the results of that, I would think, sometime this week. So thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. And Councillor Clayton, you had Art Gallery of Grand Prairie.
Thank you, Mayor Given. The Prairie Art Gallery Society met recently, and just two sort of small things to come out of that meeting. The society is currently looking for an executive director, in the process of hiring an executive director. The cutoff for that will be November 15th. And I personally sit on the hiring committee, and I can tell you, but there's been some great applicants so far, but there's still a bit more time if you know somebody who might be interested in applying for that. And as well, a date is set for the annual art gallery art auction. It will take place April 8th. In 2017. It is going to have a little bit different of a format this year, so stay tuned for more details.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. You're starting to take on the approach of Councillor O'Toole and teasing things well in advance just to get Council excited and interested. Were there any other reports from external agencies, boards, commissions? Seeing none, then we'll start Council Member Roundtable with Councillor Tarrant. Surprise.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Busy few weeks, so I guess I get to get first kick of the can here. On the 18th, had a great mixer with the number of neighborhood associations across the city. It was great to hear what they're doing and the different accomplishments there. On the 19th, was able to attend the Home Builders annual general meeting, and a little bit grim times for the home builders here, but there's a few that are continuing to keep going, and I think there's with every downturn there's opportunities for transition and growth and innovation, and I think that a number of the home builders are really looking at those. The final event I wanted to mention was last Wednesday I attended the Hillside Area Redevelopment Plan meeting that was held by the city's planning department. It was really well attended, 125 people in the room. Kind of blew everybody in the city, I think, out of the water, how many people were interested in the development of Hillside and how that development takes place. And I think there's a lot of residents that are very eager to take part in the plan and to help guide the future of their neighborhood. That's it.
Thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just choose to highlight one of, I guess, two events. Two events. A shout out to staff, students, and parents of Riverstone Public School and Isabel Campbell Public School. Awesome grand openings, great new facilities, but better schools and school cultures. Really was impressed with both grand openings. Thank you, Mayor Given.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Councillor O'Toole.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I also want to do a shout out to the two schools that opened up this last week. And anytime you can have two schools open up in your own community, that's a great thing. And I just wanted to highlight I attended the Hindu Festival of Lights, the Diwali. And it was a great event and great attendance. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor. Thanks. You got it right that time. Councillor Rice, you just make sure your microphone's on.
I attended the Chamber Small Business Week activities, and I congratulate them on a whole repertoire of rather exciting activities that week. And congratulations to all of the recipients of the awards of distinction, and not just the recipients, all those who are nominated. And I think it was very heartening to hear about the number of new businesses that have opened in the past year, especially in light of today's economy. And so it was an absolutely astounding number. I attended the Women in Business Luncheon, of which the mayor and Councillor Thiessen were kind of badly outnumbered in terms of gender. But it was very, very interesting. And I attended the Grand Spirit Foundation Harvest Dinner. To see the hardworking volunteers of the Friends of the Grand Spirit Foundation putting on an excellent event, which they do annually to raise money to enhance the Grand Spirit Foundation properties. And while we were there, Mr. Ray Grenier has donated one of those large swings for, two people donated another one to the property in Claremont. So a great evening.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I too will highlight just a couple events and some. I think I'm going to stick to the ones that haven't been mentioned. From October 21st to the 23rd, Rotary Clubs, the Sunrise Rotary Club, hosted the Scarecrow Festival, to which they had asked me to participate as MC and member council on that evening. Other councillors in attendance were Councillors Clayton, Councillor O'Toole, Mayor Bill Given. The numbers were good. The entertainment was great. The hearts were charitable. And I want to give a shout out to Sandy McDonald for winning the wine cooler box and then donating it back into an auction and raising an extra $1,000 on top of what they had already raised for that part of it. So that was really good of him. The festival activities were really busy, although I was unable to attend due to sickness. The rest of it, I was told that the Family Stomp event was well attended. They had record-setting attendance, and they had raised over $100,000 to build the new regional care center with Ronald McDonald House to be put on the Grand Prairie Regional Hospital. So it was very awesome to be a part of that event. I'd also like to throw a shout out to our crime prevention program and our neighborhood associations for bringing in Jim Deers. I sat with many members of council around that table talking about how we can make our community better and think outside the box and allow the community to help us build the city right from the ground up. So it was excellent idea sharing and excellent ideas shared there. Finally, I was also asked to attend Prima's second Frightening 48 Festival as a judge, and I took part in that with Gail Littleton and Chris Beauchamp. And the first year that I was asked to do it, they had 5 submissions. This year they had 10 submissions, and half of those submissions are all brand new. So it looks like the film culture is growing in Grand Prairie, and I was proud to be a part of it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll speak to a couple items. One, I attended the Francophone and Francophile Cities Network in Louisiana from October 12th to 15th, or somewhere around that date. It was all about discussion and leading up to possibly in July of 2016 for the next conference we're going to have. And, am I off?
17.
2017. Oh, yeah. It's not 16. It's 2017. And it was very good. Anytime I think council signs up to an organization or an area, and I remember it was in October 2015, that we signed to be part of this network. So I'm hoping that there'll be a few councillors that will go to Quebec City, because they're saying they already got the date set, and I believe it's July 17th, 2017. We have 8,000 Francophone individuals in the city of Grand Prairie. We have over 2,000 students being bilingual and French immersion, which my kids are. I'm an Anglophone parent. The biggest growth is from Anglophone parents. So if we're going to be a part of the network, we should be participating and being involved. So I'm hoping more councillors will come. So it was a great event, and I know you're all sad for me in 30 and 32 Celsius weather. So the other one I'll speak to is the 2 grand openings. I'm glad that Councillor Radburn brought it up. I am going to say one thing. I'm just very glad that Isabel Campbell School opened up, because it took away the relief where a school was built by a few years ago by a government, where it was built for 450 students and had over 900 and more kids living in modulars than in the school. So you just think double capacity for library, double capacity for gym. Now that has been fixed, but they had a few years of a lot of hard times there, and the teachers had to put up with a lot of different things. So hopefully we don't have that ever again, because that was actually a disgrace. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. Councillor Logan.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Logan. Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, Mayor Given. It was a busy couple of weeks between the chamber events and Rotary, as well as school openings. Just a couple highlights I have, though. I attended the GPRC President's Ball, which attended once again, was a great fundraiser. Great band, great turnout, so congratulations to them on their 50th anniversary. It was definitely evening filled with fun. I also had the opportunity on behalf of council to attend the Economic Developers of Alberta Ministers Dinner, where we did sort of a speed dating type format with Mr. Billis there for economic development, as well as numerous assistant deputy ministers and deputy ministers. Had an opportunity to sit with other municipalities and ask these assistant and deputy ministers questions regarding things that were relevant to their portfolio. So it was a very interesting evening, and it was well worth the time. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. Now, Councillor Radburn's asking for extra time, and I don't think he's ever done that before. So
terrible.
Just one time. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just what I forgot to say is that just on behalf of the team here, I want to welcome back Councillor Logan. Councillor Logan's been away with some medical issues and a bit of a hiatus, and it's great to see you back, Dwight.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Councillor Radburn. Certainly appreciate. That's a good catch. Thank you. So in addition to the number of the events that have been mentioned by other council members, I'll just highlight a couple of things. I attended at the Dinosaur Museum to bring greetings to the Local Government Administrators Association and the Alberta Rural Municipal Administrators Association meeting that was being held in Wembley. Great to bring greetings on behalf of council and recognize the important role of municipal administrators from both urban and rural municipalities, and certainly appreciated having them here in our region. And over the course of the last couple of weeks, I've met with, 6 classes of grade 9 students at Peace Wapiti Academy, 1 group of YMCA students, and 1 group of Cultural Integration Academy students that you saw here tonight. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've had a good opportunity to meet with a number of people and discuss the role of local government in people's day-to-day lives and the accessibility of local government, and encourage people to come out and join us at City Council meetings and get more actively involved in our community. And I certainly appreciate the opportunity to do that in the role of mayor. And with that, if there's nothing else, we'll call our meeting adjourned. Thank you. Happy Halloween.